Hey, how yins doing? Welcome to episode 9 of Puckin Dirty. My name is David, and I'm your host as always, and I'm grateful here to have y'all listen to me. Hope you guys had a good holiday break. I did a lot of chilling on my break, honestly, and I kind of needed it. Just kind of settle down, take some time for myself, for my girlfriend, spend some quality time with the family. Uh, you know, same old, really. Um, But if you didn't already know by now, we're a hockey podcast. I primarily cover the Penguins, Florida Panthers, and really any kind of hockey, culture out there. If that interests you, you should check out our socials. I recently changed it to @Puckin Dirty. I think that's on both Twitter and Instagram. Should be a little bit easier to find us. I feel like that's more unique than Dirty J Hockey, just kind of a mouthful, but yeah, Puckin Dirty should be the socials, and I kind of teased this a couple weeks ago, before the break. I wanted to open a hockey pack of cards before, and talk about whoever I get in the pack. So my girlfriend over break for Christmas got me a pack of, or more like a box of hockey cards, and I'm gonna open one here. They're some upper decker upper deck cards, 2022, 2023. Pretty interesting. I opened a few of them already. They had some interesting cards. I was pulling some good ones, but I'm gonna open one here live. Here, see if I get anything juicy. If I don't, maybe I'll open a second one here. We got a Jack Eichel here, Clayton Keller, Connor McDavid. Ooh, pretty cool Braden Point card. I'm gonna show. Pretty sweet there. Mark Stone, Brandon Saad, Tim Stutzel, Boone Jeter. Honestly, these are all really good players. I mean, Jack Eichel, you guys have probably heard me talk about him before here. I think he's one of the best players, top 10 in the league, probably, on my fantasy team. His teammate, Mark Stone, captain of Vegas. I'm not sure how he's been doing this year. I maybe need to check into that. But he's a solid player, solid center as well. Brandon Saad, he's from Pittsburgh. Stutzel, German player, pretty damn good. He's on the Senators. He's kind of coming into the league, coming into his own. One of the better players, supposedly. Boone Jenner, yeah, I don't really care for him. Fuck him. Fuck CBJ, Matt. Brain Point, pretty cool card. Obviously, like first line center, second line center for Tampa, pretty good player. And Connor McDavid, obviously, we all know about. And just because I'm feeling it, I'm going to open a second pack just because I have a bunch of these and I want to get more cards. So got to open these to get more cards. So bear with me while I have to open this. It's pretty obnoxious. There we go. Alrighty. Oh, of course. I got Ryan Hartman here. So my friend from college. Mike Matheson, but he's in a Pens uniform. Frederick Anderson, but I mean he's in the Canes. He's all right. Josh Anderson, pretty sweet looking card there. Montreal. I feel like he's having an off year, but maybe he can turn around. Werenski, Saros, Goodrow, Barclay Goodrow, Cole Caulfield, all good players. Pretty interesting. I'll save the rest because I don't want to go through all of them. But yeah, some pretty cool cards, pretty cool pools there. But moving on here, two pieces of news basically that's come out over the holiday break here. Really not even much news, but just anyway, the Toronto Maple Leafs got fined for violating the collective bargaining agreement. Apparently, they traveled during the holidays when they weren't supposed to. They got fined $100,000 for it. Also, their head coach Sheldon Keefe was fined $25,000 for his conduct towards referees. They were playing St. Louis. It was like 5-4. They just let in the fifth goal, and he thought there was interference. I mean, good for him. He completely berated the refs. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, kind of unacceptable, but I feel like people were putting a positive spin on it, like, oh my God, yeah, of course he has another meltdown. It's like, yeah, he just kind of seems, I don't know, it seems kind of tacky to me. Like, that doesn't make me have like inspiration, or that doesn't make me want to like believe in this coach, admittedly. But they are, I mean, the Maple Leafs are, what, 52 points, like number 3, number 2 in the league. So, I mean, maybe it works for his boys there. My other piece of news here is Ovi's goal tracker. The record, 894. He's at 802. So, pretty close. 92 away. I would love to see him break it still. I as much as the Pens and Caps have been rivals previously, I really want a Gretzky record to be broken, just because, like, finally, like, it's been too long. Moving on to, like, kind of the meat of the episode here, I wanted to talk about a few things besides, obviously, the Pens. Maybe the biggest thing I wanted to talk about is the World Junior that championship that's going on right now. Actually, the U.S. men are playing right now. I wonder what the score is. Perfect time, because the dogs are freaking out. All right, it is currently 4-2. Oh shit, that sucks. Anyway, Ryan, you might have to cut some of that, but currently it's 4-2 in the U.S. men's game. That's kind of rough. But whatever. Well, there's plenty of time left. It's only a second. We can still talk here about the World Juniors. Canada is hosting the IIF World Juniors again. I think they always do. Actually, no, that's not true. They only do sometimes other junior events, but this is the first time actually they've had it since 2003. 20 years ago, Canada came up short in Halifax. Coming in, this is the last time they played in Canada. They came in second place, losing against Russia for the championship. And our boy Marc-Andre Fleury was actually in net for Team Canada for that game. I want to say he might have had the yellow pads for the Pens by then. I'm not sure, but I feel like he did. I don't think he wore it during those games, but banana pad Fleury was a hell of a guy. This tournament, actually, the Finnish and the Canadians are, at least from odds makers, the favorites to win the tournament. Finland, they're considered the best, country right now according to the IIHF ratings on just like world stage, like World Juniors, Olympics, stuff like that. Those kind of events, they just compile points, and Finland's actually first right now, considered the best in the league or in the world. Obviously Canada, I feel like you have to give them the same odds because it's Canada. But for the most part, this will be the first showcase for people like me who don't really watch junior events all that much to see some of the talent in the 2023 draft. A lot of the players, Logan Kuliak comes off the head for the Team USA, Luke Hughes. These guys are going to be playing some best-on-best hockey versus like playing in their leagues where they're probably playing, guys who might never even go to the AHL, let alone NHL. But yeah, the U.S. last time we had a World Juniors, we finished, or like last year, we competed. We finished off the podium. We lost, I think it was against Slovakia. I think it was that for bronze. This year though, I think the expectations are a little bit raised. Like I said, this draft class is pretty deep. And we do have a lot of college hockey players on Team USA, and a lot of them are drafted onto teams. There are actually 19 NHL drafted players and 6 first-round draft picks on the roster. And Luke Hughes, like Jack Hughes' brother, is the captain I mentioned Logan Cooley. He's on the Arizona Coyotes, or at least in the roster for them, or the organization there. So Luke Hughes and Logan Cooley. I mean, if they can carry the team, I mean, they're some of the best NHL-owned prospects in the game. Like obviously Connor Bedard plays for Canada, but he's not owned by, and no one's rights. No one has rights to this player yet. No one's drafted him. The U.S. I mentioned that they're playing right now. They're 1-0 right now. They beat Latvia 5-2. I mean, they look good, but I'd say they finished well. They're tied 2-2 into the third with Latvia, and Latvia is just kind of like a punching bag at this point. I feel like they only have one real win in the world stage, where they beat Sochi. In Sochi, they beat Switzerland after they qualified. The U.S. was actually favored to beat Slovakia in this game, so it kind of sucks that they're losing 4-2 at the end of the second. Maybe if I can find a stream here, I'll put it on, but sucks to see. Beyond the U.S., I mentioned Latvia. I do feel bad, but someone's got to be the worst. And they produce Anze Kopitar, so maybe they'll get up there one day. But I really doubt it. There's not very many people in that country. I think only 5,000 people are registered to play or something like that. In other World Junior news, Canada lost to the Czech Republic 5-2. The Canadian media outlets like TSN highlight these Michigan attempts that they're Connor Bedard and what's his name? Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli. They're two of the high-rated prospects, but they both tried Michigan within the opening minutes of the game, and despite everyone having talent on Team Canada, I feel like the team really was overconfident, and they kind of got humbled by a team that was looking to play together and maybe proves them wrong. Maybe they saw that they were cocky, and I don't know, media. There's a lot of media around this, especially in Canada. Not really in the U.S., but I mean, despite everyone on Canada being drafted, except maybe one player, everyone's already owned, but they can't really outskill teams that want to win, want to beat them. And maybe they're not even that good in the first place. Who knows? It's tough to say. Canada plays Germany next. It's at 7:30 today, so a couple hours from now. They plan on having different lines, new goalie. Apparently, the guy let 5 goals in on 17 shots. They really need to refocus, I think. To get out of the round robin, they're going to have to play Germany, I mentioned, they're 0-1 right now, and if they can crush them, I think with how the goals for work, they can definitely make sure they don't get relegated. How's Canada going to rebound? I really think, Germany is considered one of the weaker teams, and if Canada is serious, they're going to just dunk on Germany. I could see a 7-1 game there, honestly. Probably take it out on them. Speaking of the Germans, I did a top 5 jersey rating. Oh my God, I stuttered over that. A top 5 jersey rating for the World Juniors, and Germany's featured twice on it. I'll get to that in a little bit. Top 5 after my players to watch here. But if Germany's gonna win, I'll be surprised there. The favorites were the Finns though, and they are considered the best in the world. And they just lost 2 days ago to Switzerland, and maybe that serves as a wake-up call. The Canadians lost 5-2. It doesn't seem crazy that teams are losing. The top teams are losing. Maybe there's more parity there, but I'm not really that sure about the junior stuff. The Finns then played Slovakia, and they beat them 5-2. I think this could, maybe serve as a back or a blueprint for the Team USA. Team USA plays the Finnish to get seeded. They're in the same group for this tournament. I think this will be a good opportunity for them to make, an impact on how they're going to play the Finns when they play them, beyond the group stage. Maybe they figure out a way to beat them. I know this is kind of looking forward, but they do eventually play. I think it's on the 31st. There's a good chance the second time they play, it'll be for, way more than seeding. It could be for a third medal, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, having a blueprint on how to beat the best team in the league might be a good move. Or keep saying league, but in the world stage here, I think that'll be good for Team USA. I mentioned some players to watch, but I for the top 3 teams that I mentioned here, Connor Bedard, obviously Canada, Logan Cooley for Team US, and Brad Lambert, who is like a 3-time guy coming to the World Juniors. He's plays for Team Finland. His teammate is actually Chaz Lucius, who's a U.S. player, pretty good actually. But yeah, I got my top 5 jersey rating here. I wonder if I can pull this up. I think I can. Oh. So, obviously, top 5 jerseys. I'm just gonna throw them out here. I think they're superior to all of them. It's a pretty big gap, I'd say. But number 1, I got Sweden. Team Sweden, pretty sweet. This is their away jersey. The blue one with gold crowns, I think, just looks so good. It's iconic at this point to me. I feel like as much as like the leaf is to Canada, the 3 crowns are to Sweden's hockey team. Coming in number 2 here, I got the German away. I mean, these are just filthy, honestly. Like, I don't know. You didn't go wrong at all. And like, I know like all the Germans in like the old hockey movies were like viewed as bad guys, and like this just like fits that. Like they just look like bad guys if they wear these, but they look so good. And obviously, I would love to sport these myself. Number 3 here, I got Canada's home. I think this is just a classic jersey. I think there's a lot going on in a way, but it matches. It works, especially the black on top. I like that. I don't know what it is. Next, we got German again. Their home unis this time. This is just even better, or not even better. This is not as good as the away, but what I like is that they incorporated the flag there the correct way, obviously. And it's just like, honestly, like none of these jerseys were really that inspired. A lot of them were like a single bar and like a little bit of a design with it. That's why Latvia coming in 5th with their away maroon jerseys here. I felt like at least they're a different color than some of the other people. Like my honorable mention here is Team USA and Switzerland. Team USA, I mean, I just wish there was something more there. A little bit boring around the shoulders. Maybe even lower in the uni. I just feel like it's pretty boring. Where you see like, Sweden added like this crown and striping and numbers on the shoulders. I just feel like it doesn't have the same pop as the U.S. And the reason I even mention Switzerland is because this reminds me of like a Swiss watch brand. I don't know why. It's just so funny to me. but yeah. Those were the top 5 there and the 2 honorable mentions. If I had to really like fix Team US's uniform, I feel like I'd have to include something on the shoulders, like maybe stars or something, like something to just add like a pop. I feel like it's just a white jersey with a blue stripe and a thin red one, which it doesn't even like really look any sort of representation of like our flag or anything. U.S. hockey has been in a weird state for me where I like feel like it should be better, but it's not. We keep being like 4th or 5th, and their unis suck. And I think they're definitely directly coordinated or correlated there. Just saying. All right. Moving on here. Got the Pens corner here. Got 3 games to preview. I didn't really recap any of the games. I can kind of recap the Islanders game, but don't really want to. We lost 5-1 last night. Pens looked bad. They looked out of sorts. Feel like Petrie coming back is gonna be a real good thing. I know we're not really super injured, but would definitely be look forward to. Definitely would be a good help for the defense. So some of the previous year, I mean, this is probably one of our toughest weeks. We already lost to an Islanders team who is one of the better teams in the Metro, despite last year's debacle and terrible record. First off, we got the Red Wings here. First game of the year versus the Wings. Before the break before Christmas, the Wings were one of the coldest teams, losing 6 in a row before defeating Tampa 7-4. The Red Wings have not played in a week due to their games getting postponed. And I think this could be an advantage to the Penguins, even though that the Pens played last night. I think the Pens will use their game there as fuel and be mad, kind of inspire themselves to do better against the Islanders. I think they'll come prepared with the drive to play the way they've been playing, that playoff hockey, which might kind of suck, but you win games, and winning games is a good thing, especially early on in the year, so you don't have to really, scrape for those last few games. I think Ville Husso has been a mixed bag, especially after his strong start. And I'm wondering, he's 27 years old, is he actually as good as his stats have been? Is he going to start going downhill a little bit, or is it more of just a blip where... Whoa. Is it more of just a blip where, he'll just bounce back versus the Pens here? I think the Pens offense will put him to the test. Give me a second. All right. Well, good thing you're able to edit this, Ryan. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So I think the Pens offense will put them to the test. I think their team, the Detroit Red Wings. I think they're kind of injured as well, and I know this kind of seems like a lame excuse, but they are missing a decent amount of their depth, and they're plugging their team with some AHL defense and offense. And I think the Pens are mostly, for the most part, they are healthy. I mean, Petrie being gone sucks, but he is. I mean, we can fill the gap there for him. My primary concern with the Red Wings, I mean, Dylan Larkin's hurt. I thought he might be back actually. I know he took a shot off a hand, so I thought he was injured, but he might be good. He might be good to play. And for them, that he's the primary driver of their offense. And if they have him, I think they'll definitely be more lethal offensively. My primary concern, though, even with Larkin being back, is the wingers, Kubalik, who, I mean, he's definitely fallen off the cliff, taking a nosedive in his production. 4 points in the last 10 games, 1 in the last 7. But I think he could still produce. And, same with Perron, who once played for the Pens. He actually got traded for Hagelin. But he's off to a bit of a hot streak here, 5 points in the last 3 games. And, if the Pens aren't careful, they're playing with fire, they can get burned. And I think they will, to be honest. I think there's still some growing pains there for the Penguins without Petrie. I think, if I had to pick, a player to watch for the Red Wings here, I'd pick Michael Rasmussen. I think that's how you say Musin. I don't know. Some Finnish-looking name. But he's coming off a 4-point game when he was moved to the top line for the Red Wings. And, if the Pens move to, if the Red Wings move to score, quick on, the first, shift or something, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one that put it in the net. For the most part, though, I think the Pens can shut down their major threats, Larkin, Kubalik, Perron, and I feel like they can really, the depth kind of handles it out, because, handles itself out, where, like, the Pens are, like, have, like, Malkin, it's like they don't really have another threat as much as Larkin, at least down the middle. And, even, like, Jeff Carter, Brock McGinn, these guys can handle, any player on their team, I'd say, at least in the bottom six. So, I think there expect to be some growing pains on the defense, but I think a 6-3 game sounds about right. Pens then play on, the December 30th, the Devils, and, as good as the Devils were to start the season, they regressed back to the group, and now they're sitting at second place behind the Hurricanes, who honestly might be the best team in the NHL, just based off power rankings, but we'll get to that. I kind of also shortened the power rankings, so I'll discuss that when I pull it up here. Guess I can, stop sharing the screen too. Let me do that. But yeah, they were regressing back to the mean, and the Devils have been losing like games. Like, I think they're on a 6-game losing streak or something like that at one point, and the Devils, they've been losing games by like letting too many goals up and not scoring at all. Like, at least not as much as they did in the first quarter of the season. I think there is a decent amount of blame on Vitek Vanacek. He's been putting up some bad starts. I think 2 of them had below a 7.7 save percentage, 7.70. So that's just, terrible starts. He's playing the full game. He's just not making saves that he needs to. And, I think the Pens have also played a goalie who's struggling before. But I mentioned it before. The Pens have this offensive prowess, and, they play struggling goalies. And last time they played, Binnington, he was a struggling goalie. They let up 6 that night, and he got chased and had a complete meltdown. I could see a similar game, here, how the Pens played for the Devils, depending, how the Pens handle the Devils' talent. I think the Devils have a lot more talent than St. Louis does, and you might want to change your game plan to not really, tee off as quickly on this team, like try to score as quickly. You might, wave more of a caution flag, see what they're doing, but I really could see, the Pens putting in quite a few behind them. I mentioned it. I think I mentioned it for the Wings, how they're pretty injured down the line, and like they have Bertuzzi and stuff, but like the Devils are injured too, and I really started to look at this, and I'm like, why is this like the case? Like, it seems like a lot of teams are plugging with AHL kind of guys, and I think it's just because teams are like so against the cap that they need to tap into the AHL, and it's like an interesting challenge. Like the teams and the GMs have to really maneuver cap situations, but it kind of seems like a self-induced situation. Like the GMs have constantly been spending up to the cap, up to the like 82.5 million or 83.5 million, whatever it is. They'll spend every penny they can, and they'll spend even over it, expecting that the cap's going to go up in a few years, which is not guaranteed, but it's strongly, assumed. But, like, this reckless spending is kind of, why when a player gets injured, they have to call up these AHL guys. Like, the way the NHL set up the caps is, like, they, an injured player, if he's not on LTIR, which there's a certain amount of time you miss being put on that. I think it's 2 weeks, maybe 4. You're not automatically set to LTIR, though, if you're injured. So your cap's still on the book. So fitting in, if you're at 81 or 82.5 million and the cap's 83.5, you have to fit in a contract there. And, this guy might not be an NHL quality guy, especially when you're just trying to get some cap relief. Typically these players who have a lower salary can pass through waivers without being claimed, or, they're exempt from waivers in the first place. They're usually young guys, whose contract, kind of allows that like movement between teams. The Pens use Mark Friedman all the time for this. I think he's still waiver exempt because he's only 27. I'm not exactly sure on that, but the Pens do send him up and down the line, or the teams, because they can. And I think it's part of the reason they don't want to add Ty Smith to the NHL rosters, because what happens if they get in the cap hell? And if they go through waivers, he'll get claimed for sure, and he's not exempt. So interesting, I think. Anyways, like the whole cap situation, I think it's interesting that all these teams are playing with AHL quality guys, but it presents opportunities to these players, which I'm sure they're glad to have. At least their families will be. That's for sure. Back to the Devils and Pens, though. I think the Pens are a healthier team. I think the Devils have some major plugs, so I think the Pens win 4-1, continuing, the trend of letting up too many goals and not scoring very many goals. And this next game, probably the most excited I've ever been in the last few years for a regular season hockey game. It's the Pens versus the Bruins in the Winter Classic. The Bruins are 27-4-3. They have 57 points. The best team in the league, hands down. And the Pens are coming to Fenway Park, to play them. And it's going to be pretty hype. And I thought it was kind of funny that, the Pens' new owners have a game, and the owners are like Fenway Group, and I find it funny that the Pens are playing the Bruins immediately after that. Just maybe irony or something, but sure there might be a reason for that. The Bruins are unquestioned number one team in the NHL. I could go on about how talented this team is, both offensively and defensively. They have so many riches just because of they're older guys taking some hits on their contracts. They're taking lower money. First thing for the Bruins, that's great. They're healthy. Second, they have Charlie McAvoy back, who's playing great hockey, and I don't really think he's getting enough recognition. He's not a point per game, but he has 18 points in 21 games, and he started injured. So you got to get back into things, and I think he's going to start heating up pretty soon. And he's not alone in how much, success he's having. Like, David Krejci's there. He's having a crazy year. There's like this Czechia line, Pastrnak, Pavel Zacha, and Krejci. They're all playing together, and they're all from Czechoslovakia or Slovakia. I think it's Czech Republic, actually. But they're all playing crazy. They're all like 27 points or more. I can mention Allmark. He's playing like the Vezina winner. He has a 194 goals against and a 936 save percentage. Definitely makes him my favorite right now. Taylor Hall, he's putting up respectable 27 points, 34 games. Not his once 100-point self, but having Taylor Hall on your team is having a great two-way forward who is probably some of the upper wingers, upper echelon of wingers in the NHL. Obviously, the most exciting and dangerous player is David Pastrnak. That Czechia, I don't know. It's like Czechia or something like that. I can't remember what they call themselves. Czechia line. I should have just looked this up, but I'm too lazy. That Czechia line is just they're helping him make a big payday, because this is his unrestricted last year in a deal, and he's an unrestricted free agent. And I think he's playing at least $9.5 million, man, and that might be under what he actually gets paid. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Pens to win, and if the Pens want to win this game, they're going to need an incredible effort from the team to remain disciplined and make sure they really limit the Bruins' opportunities for odd man rushes. The Bruins are not more talented, I don't think, than the Pens. I think the talent is pretty equal. Maybe a little bit younger for the Bruins, but I think it's pretty equal. So I kind of expect a pretty tight game here. I I think the Bruins may be a little bit more deep than the Pens. Maybe their legs are a little bit more fresh. But it hasn't really affected the Pens and been a big deal in any of their games so far. I kind of see, a solid game here either way, but I think I'm going to have to give the Bruins a 3-2 win in OT. I think it'd be a really fun game to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. Last time the Pens were outside, I think it was against Chicago, and that kind of sucked because pretty sure they got killed, or maybe it was the Flyers, and they lost, so I'd like to get another dub outdoors here. But that being said, 3-2 OT, the Pens are just one play away from beating them, so I really do think it could go either way here. My players to watch for this upcoming week here, Pierre-Olivier Joseph again. I just wanted to highlight him again. I feel like there wasn't enough hockey played last week, but there'll be more hockey here to be played and really judge him see where he's at in this game. I would love to see him contributing more offensively. He scored a goal against the Islanders, the only goal against the Islanders. It's possible he'll get more time. You figure with Petrie being hurt, but that is his offside, so maybe not. Maybe he gets a chance running a power play. I really do think he is a very mobile guy. Watching him skate, like he receives the puck from like a forward from behind the net, and he skates with it. He takes from the top of the circle and skates with it around. And I'm just like, this guy can really move, and I really do like watching him move, and I'm excited to see him actually blossom here into something. My next guy, Brian Rust. I think Rusty's been doing well, especially after being demoted to the second line power play. You can really pout about it, but he didn't. He's playing with Carter and Zucker on that power play. In December, he put up 4 goals, 7 assists in 11 games. So, point per game. I would love to see more of big game Brian Rust. That guy who scored 2 goals against Tampa Bay to sink them in Game 7. That kind of guy who rose to the occasion. And maybe, being a point per game, maybe he can actually get that. And it's possible that, demoting him to the second line power play even makes him play better. I feel like he doesn't have to exert himself as much, and maybe it improves his longevity with the Pens. We all know what he's capable of. He just wasn't clicking this year for whatever reason. It happens, right? But, if he's called up again to the first line, I really do think he can contribute to a point that would, continue the Pens' incredible success on the power play. I feel like, get that confidence. I really do think Rust will have a good couple of weeks, maybe a good month here. My last little thing here before I get to the power rankings, the different power rankings. Pens since November 6th are 15-3-3. Jari was on a 14-game point streak, OT loss or win, basically. Tying a franchise record, Tom Barrasso. I think he also wore 35, so shout out Tom. The regulation loss against the Islanders last night, that obviously ended it. And honestly, the Pens, I don't really want to even talk about that game. Pens looked so bad. I was kind of upset even watching it, and talking about it more would just make me more upset. Moving on here. The Metro kind of looks like a bloodbath now. The not the Red Wings, the Capitals. They start going streaking, and they really they played more games than everyone, but they're in the mix now for a playoff spot. So pretty interesting here. It actually affected these top 16, as I call it. Moving on here to the power rankings. The top 16 power rankings. I will share my screen here. I was trying to get Iggy. Sharing screen. All right. If you see this blue W and the red E, that's just East and West. So 16 teams, top 16 power rankings. And I did this in a way it's kind of like who I think kind of deserves to be in what spot for playoffs. And obviously labeled 1 to 3, 4 to 7, 8 to 11, and the rest. Who are kind of like the wild card spots here. like I said, these are based off. This is a power ranking of playoff teams, and the East occupy the top 6 spots for me. I got Boston number 1, Carolina number 2, Toronto number 3. I feel like that's kind of set in stone here with how good I've seen Carolina play recently, especially against the Pens twice. 4 through 7, I got Tampa Bay, Pens, New Jersey Devils, and that might be controversial, but we'll see come 2 days from now who's actually the better team. That is the first game of this year they play, by the way. Moving on here, 8 through 11, I got Vegas, I got Seattle, Minnesota Wild, and then Winnipeg, who these all kind of just like fit into place to me, like a puzzle almost. The Wild beat the Jets the other night. I think Vegas lost the other night, and it's just everything kind of fits into place where these guys kind of look like they'd line up this way come playoff time. The rest, so that's basically just who is in a playoff spot, kind of wild card. I got. I guess this is kind of in order. I do have the Capitals in the number 1 of the rest. I don't think they're the best team. Like I said, I think they're streaky right now, streaking up. Maybe they do sneak in playoffs, but as of now, I do have them there. I got the Rangers next. Same thing. I think they're 8-2 in the last 10. I really do think they're a good team. Like I said, they're not elite in like certain aspects, but adding could make them elite. Adding a player. I also got the Kings, Oilers, Avs. Kings, I've mentioned this, inconsistencies. Defense is kind of bad. Goalie, definitely. I'd say defense is average to above average, actually. Goalie is bad. I feel like Jonathan Quick's just past his prime, and this Copley guy I'm not too sure about yet. Oilers are just so inconsistent as well. Their defense sucks. They are scoring. They try to out-talent teams. That's not really how you win in the NHL. Last year, barely sneaking in, by the way, are the Avalanche, who are just so injured right now. But you kind of have to have the defending champs in there, I think. Even with where they're standing, I think they deserve it, but even more so that they're defending champs here. And, I feel like this might be kind of the more structure I take here for the pod, like kind of open a pack, talk some hockey. I don't think I'm going to do much of the full NHL team rankings. I kind of want to do this, smaller group and maybe just do more rankings in general. I did the jersey rankings here as well. But I just feel like ranking the whole thing is just too hard and doesn't really make interesting content. Here you can at least debate a little bit more, I'd say. But with that being said, I appreciate everyone listening. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. Wasn't too much hockey going on. Kind of a chill moment in life still, that time between Christmas and New Year's. Wanted to get something out here, just talk to you guys. Follow the pod, obviously, online at Puckin Dirty here. Sorry, at Puckin Dirty. Not here. At Puckin Dirty. I'm going to do more daily talkings of just like, hey, here's a video, here's what I think. Maybe giving some betting advice, maybe posting some cards here and there. I'm going to try being more involved and honestly, like, see these, if you're watching, you see this jacket I'm wearing, I could get, quality clothes made and I might, do something for the pod here, get a logo for my bud and, or my girlfriend, who knows. But I think I'm going to try my one resolution since, I won't be here until next year, actually, is, trying to get more of a involvement in the pod and, kind of market it a little bit better. I also do some D&D stuff, and I'd really love to do that as well. And I think, first off, I want to make some shirts. I want my girlfriend, and I'm probably going to help her design it, but if she doesn't help, or if she doesn't design it, my buddy will. But I can definitely, I have some goals here, and definitely want to get some stuff for, Ryan for his pod, and for myself for this pod, and it's pretty quality. Like, you can see it's embroidered, and, it's pretty cheap, honestly, and people are interested, I can get orders and maybe have Ryan, sort it out as well. But with that being said, keep your eyes out for the online Puckin Dirty. Appreciate if you made it this entire way through to me kind of stuttering through and, you know, not really having too much to say, but just wanting to say something here. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Happy New Year. I hope you guys have a very, plentiful, wealthy, something or other year. All right. Have a good one.